Today I will try to speak about my favorite albums of the punk scene, but let's be serious. Inside punk, we don't have only one style. We have so many categories of punk. Punk rock, we have post-punk, hardcore punk, new punk or punk pop. We have post-hardcore. We have rockabilly or psycho rockabilly punk, crossover, so many styles. So today I will try to speak about some of my favorite albums of all these kind of categories that they are under the label of punk, the general this label of punk. But first of all, we have to speak about some bands that they started the whole scene before even that it was called by the name punk. Let's say some bands that are proto or pro-punk situations. So for first time we have to speak about the band The Stooges of Iggy Pop and their album Funhouse. Afterwards, another also special band, Velvet Underground. I don't have one of the original albums of them with the banana and the hule and etc. So I have one of their collections of Velvet Revolver of Lou Reed. And of course, here we have also to speak about. There's other also styles that they came from punk. For example, new wave, afterwards dark wave. But I will not speak here about the new wave style. Maybe because it's even closer to pop music. Even that I like very much bands as the Blondie or like Billy Idol, and that he started with his punk band Generation X. Okay, another also very special band from the pro punk bands from United States, MC5 and their album Kick Out the Jams. Another also pro punk band that maybe most of the new wave bands afterwards they were influenced by it, Television and their album Meraki Moon. And now let's go to speak about the real punk or punk rock. And when we speak about the first wave of original punk, we have to speak about two schools. The first school is, of course, from Great Britain, from England, and the second school is from United States, and especially the New York scene of punk rock. So first of all, let's speak about the cornerstone of the punk rock movement. I'm speaking about the album the album Nevermind the Bollocks of Sex Pistols. Yeah, here is the Sex Pistols, the only and one album of them that it influenced so much the whole punk rock scene, and not only also the thrash metal afterwards. We know that the Megadeth they made a cover of Anarchy in the UK. Okay, very special album. And if we're speaking about this first wave of real punk rock, we have to speak also about band The Damned. Here also I have one of their collections, not one album of them, The Damned. And another also very special band from UK, from Britain, of this first wave, let's say of punk rock. And it's very special because they try to be more technical or more in these years, the whole thing of punk came out first of all because of some youths that they were so upset with this dinosauric progressive rock of the 70s. And then came the punk. That it was very quick, not at all very simple, let's say, in the way of the playing. And for this reason, the punk scene and the new wave of British heavy metal, they were in a, let's say, in a war between them. Okay, there were some bands that they were in between the two scenes, for example, Motorhead, for example, even Venom, but most of the bands of metal, they didn't see in a good way the whole punk rock scene in these years, especially in UK, in Britain. But then, and many metal bands of these years, they said that the punks, they don't know how to play their instruments, their musical instruments. But there was one band from England, of the first wave, let's say, of punk rock of England, that yes, they knew how to play their instruments. And I'm speaking about The Clash and their famous album of them, London Calling, and it was also a double album for these years, a double album of a punk rock band, very special. Another also band from England that I like it very much, but they are not first wave, the second or third wave, let's say, The Exploited. This is here we have one of their also one album that is not exactly an album, is all the singles of the band, but also another very good album of them, from the system. That here, yes, they have also influenced by metal in this specific album of The Exploited. But if we're going to speak about The Exploited, let's speak about another band from United States, if I'm not sure, that they are playing a style very close to The Exploited, and I'm speaking about the band The Casualties, and here one of their best albums, Resistance. And if now we're speaking about the American scene, for me, okay, first of all, I prefer the American punk rock scene more than the British. And here, first of all, if in the new wave, in the first wave of British punk rock, we had Sex Pistols, The Clash, The Damned. Here we have also three important bands. First of all, Ramones or Ramones, and their first album, their debut album, that is so perfect. But not only, we have also Dead Kennedys, and their album Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. So important album. Jeff Biafra. Here also we have the song Holiday in Cambodia, that Lazaro Kit, they made a cover. Lazaro Kit was a band that they started as a US power metal. Afterwards they became thrash metal, and as a thrash metal band they made a cover of this song, Holiday in Cambodia. And not only Jeff Heineman, in his guitar, he had also the symbol of Dead Kennedys. And another very special American punk rock band, Misfits, or the Misfits of Glenn Danzig. And I like Danzig in all his musical way. Misfits, Samhain, Danzig, the band. And here we have the album Earth AD, a so good album, with also another EP, Wolf's Blood, inside it. And we know how they influenced Metallica, especially because of Cliff Burton. Here we have also very special songs as Die Die My Darling, Green Hell, that we know that Metallica made the covers of them. And if I want to speak about Misfits, we have also to speak about the rockabilly, let's say, a punk, and one of the most famous bands of this style, the Gramps. So special work, songs the Lord taught us, a very special also work here of the Gramps. Now, I will try now to speak about what we can name new punk or punk pop. Okay, maybe the bands they will say that they are also they continue the way of past of punk rock, but let's say that they are even punk pop more than punk rock. Okay, here we have so famous bands, for example, as the Offspring and as Green Day. But for me, the best band of the most famous and most let's say beloved band of this style is the band The Offspring, and their second album Ignition, that is so good. Now, the other band, famous band, is of course Green Day, and I did like the first works of Green Day, but when they came with this album, this very special album, American Idiot, wow, they blew my mind. And if we're speaking about this style of punk, let's speak about Bad Religion. Okay, and here I bring their album, The Empire Strikes First. Or another band that is not so famous, of this style also, Down by Law. And this is also their first album. And another band that they are Israelis. And if I did know that they are from Israel, you can't make it. You think that they are an American band of this style. And I'm speaking about the album, the band Useless ID, and their album The Lost Broken Bones. Very special album, and let's go and find it. Someone that likes this style of punk pop, let's say. Now, one band that maybe they are even more emo or screamo, but they have some punk influences. I'm speaking about the band The Used and their album Lies for the Liars. Okay, this is not exactly punk. This is even more emo or screamo. But here we have also influences by punk. And another also special band that it's very difficult to put a name of a genre for this band. Speak about the band Melvins. They have so many albums, and they made also albums with Jeff Biafra of Dead Kennedys. But here we have a very special work of them, Houdini, and they were also in connection with Nirvana in these years. A very, very special band. Then also another band that they are not exactly punk, they are not punk, okay, but they have some influences, and I like it very much. There is this band, speaking about the band The White Stripes, and their special and my album Elephant, a very good album. Now let's speak about the ska punk, a style of punk that have also influences by ethnic music. For example, we have a very special band from Spain with Spanish words. We speak about the band Skape, and here we have the album of Skape, Evrosis. A very also special album. And if we're speaking about this kind of punk with ethnic style together, another band that is very difficult to, it's difficult to say that they are ska or ska punk, Gogol Bordello, also from United States, and here they have also in the album Gypsy Punks, yeah, Underdog Work Strike, a very special album of them. Also they have also here styles of ethnic music together with style of a style of a punk. And now let's go to speak. Of course, I have to say that another band from one band from Greece, they're playing a style of punk, let's say rock punk or punk rock with Greek words. Yeah, a very famous band in Greece, and speaking about the band Tripes, their name Greece in Greek is holes. Yeah, and here we have one of their albums. In Greek is Kratatos Maimou. That monkey continue the show, something like that. Okay, now and let's go to speak about now the post-punk scene. I like it very much. And first of all, we have to speak about Joy Division. Joy Division and one of their best albums of them, Unknown Pleasures. Also another post-punk band, very famous. I don't have an original album. I have some of their collections, and the volume 1 of their collection, Bauhaus. Bauhaus, also a very special band. And of course, one very special past punk band of the last decade, a female band. We speak about the band Savages and their first album, Silence Yourself. Okay, and now some bands that they are, let's call them post-hardcore. Okay, if we're speaking about post-punk, let's go now to the post-hardcore. And a very also special band, Fugazi, and a very special album of them, In on the Kill Taker. Or also another band, Ken Mode, and their album, Venerable. And now let's go and speak about hardcore. Hardcore, especially from New York, or hardcore punk. Maybe from here now we're speaking about the more extreme style of punk, or of the not punk, what the most extreme style that came out from punk. And if we're speaking about hardcore, let's go and speak about Sick of It All. Here I bring one album of them, Death to Tyrants, and another also very famous hardcore band from New York, if I'm not mistaken, Agnostic Front. Here I bring this album, Another Voice, because in this album they are very, very influenced also by metal. Maybe here the most famous hardcore punk, Suicidal Tendencies, and I'm bringing here not their first album, but the album Join the Army, because in this album they are trying, Suicidal, they are trying to make a connection with even more with metal, what we are calling it afterwards as crossover. And another also band from hardcore with metal influences, Hatebreed, and their album The Rise of Brutality. We continue with hardcore punk or hardcore music with metal influences, Propane, the band Propane from United States, and their album Round 6. Another also hardcore punk or hardcore band with also rap influences, Biohazard. Here I bring their album State of the World Address. Here we have also a very special band, let's say a little bit hardcore, a little bit punk, with also influences with jazz influences and saxophones. We speak about the band Dog Eat Dog and their album All Boro Kings. And here another band. It's difficult how we can say how we can speak about them. They're not exactly punk. They're not exactly hardcore, but they're even a little bit more, let's say, post, but they're not post-punk, okay? Let's say, and here I bring a band. Yeah, let's say that some people they will say that there is something between hardcore punk or post-hardcore, okay? And I'm speaking about the band Converts and one of their last albums of 2017, The Dusk in Us. The Dusk in Us. And also another hardcore band with thrash metal influences, Sick of It All, and their first album, God is War, a very, very, very special album. Another also hardcore band with metal influences, Cro-Mags, and their album Near Death Experience. Here also I could speak about Minor Threat or about Bad Brains, but I'm continue with now with three crossover bands. And yeah, the crossover took the hardcore, took the punk influences, put it even more metal or thrash metal, and here we have the crossover style. Of course, here I could also speak about a very special crossover band, even more thrash crossover, Nuclear Assault. Yeah, Game Over, their first album of Danny Licker. He started from Anthrax. Afterwards, he made even more, let's say, grind bands. For example, we have Brutal Truth, is another also band of him. Okay, but also here we have even more a crossover thrash metal. But except now, if we don't speak about Nuclear Assault, we'll speak about even more crossover. Here we have SOD, Stormtroopers of Death, also a project that came out from Anthrax. Afterwards, with their very special album, Speak English or Die, their first album. Afterwards, we have also MOD of Milano. And DRI, Dirty Rotten in Pencils, and here we have also their album Four of a Kind. And COC, okay? Corrosion of Conformity, and one of their first albums that they are even more hardcore, Animosity. Afterwards, this band Corrosion of Conformity, they played something total different as a kind of desert rock. And I'm finished today with another band, very special band. It's very difficult how to put them in a genre, in a special genre. They have influences by punk, by metal, by black metal, by rock and roll, all together, and they are from Norway, and their songs are in Norwegian language to speak about the band Kvelertak and their first album. Also a very, very special album. Yeah, and also here we have punk influences inside it. So, this is about the whole scene of punk and all these styles of it. My taste, and I'm saying that maybe I am even more inside metal than punk. So from Israel and from Jerusalem, stay metal and stay heavy.